In Zen Master Hakuin's Song of Zazen, there's a line, um, when our thought is now no longer thought, when thought is no thought, our dancing and singing is the voice of the Dharma. So this is a real opportunity, if we contemplate this line, um, to explore our real experience of what thinking is, because it causes us a lot of problems in our life. We give thinking a lot of power, but do we really explore deeply why we have to give it that much power, and does it really deserve that much power in our actual experience if we're deeply exploring that experience? So, a couple ways that I get from insights I get from this line. One is our thought now being no thought. It's like, well, if I explore what my experience of thinking is, I don't know what thinking is. If I look for the substance of a thought, I can't really find anything. Um, there's images, uh, maybe of words, letters, sentences. Feelings get mixed in there. It's a current of energy, it's part of our life force, part of our energy, part of the energy of seeing, hearing, and feeling, as well as thinking. They all harmonize together if we do meditations on really experiencing the energy in our body, including the thinking. And so if we wonder about, well, we can't find what it is, the substance of it, um, then how can we, then it's not what we think. Thinking itself isn't what we think it is, right? The other thing, our voices, when thought is no longer thought, when our thought now being no thought, our voices and singing are or dancing and singing are the voice of the Dharma. That's a birth of a new type of aliveness that's free from the confines of our thinking, that doesn't give thinking the power to interfere with the joy of our singing and dancing. And Hakuin is saying that is the expression of the Dharma. So to be without attachment to thought, to be free of thought, is the greatest devotion. Singing and dancing is a great expression of our devotion to the Dharma. Um, we could say the truth of our being. Um, so, this thinking about thinking stuff is one of the strangest experiences a human being can have, because you don't really know what it is, so you don't really know what you're doing. So, in the middle of giving this talk, I'm aware that I'm thinking about thinking, and I don't really know what I'm doing, but it feels good. It feels freeing. It feels like, yeah, there's an intuitive sense that our thinking is not thought. It's not what we think it is. And there's a freedom there. There's a depth, um, a sinking into a deeper feeling of just being. So, in a way, we could say, how we know our experience. How do we really know our experience? We're used to thinking about it, of our experience, and interpreting it and explaining it, and deriving all these opinions and assertions and solidified beliefs about the way we think things are, by grabbing on and grasping onto our thoughts. But if we really explore the experience of thought, of thinking, um, we know that it's there. I mean, really, it's kind of wonderful that we all know what the experience of thinking is. So when we talk about it, we all know what we're talking about. But what is it really? I mean, a thought can't feel anything. You can't grab a thought out of midair and get a hold of it. Um, no thought is ever any farther away from us or closer to us. But there's a sense that it's here and it's now. And we all share that experience of knowing what it is. This is one of the strongest proofs or intuitions, intuitive certainties, as much as there can be an intuitive certainty, that we share this being that we are, this awareness of being present, um, of believing that we're a separate body mind, but being in the middle of a deep mystery, a deep, wonderful mystery that's full of wonder about what we really are. What are we really? Is we don't know what our thinking is, and we're used to trying to identify ourselves through our thought, through our labeling things. Um, we're in this mystery. We don't know what we actually are, but we know that we are. We know experience is. We know our experience in the sense of being aware of it, witnessing it, and just experiencing it itself. So when I say the only thing there is to thinking is the knowing of it, we experience it, we're aware of it, we witness it. And the fact that we witness it, we know it's not just, we're not just what our thinking is, we're more than our thinking. Because we're here before thinking arises, while we're thinking, and after the thoughts dissolve. So, I was talking to my last Zen teacher, Lou Nordstrom, a while back, and we were talking about this. And he says, thinking's not a problem. Why do people make it a problem? Just let it go. What do you have to do about thinking? Nothing. We don't have to do anything about the fact that we have thoughts. Thinking is something that arises on its own, like our heartbeat and our breathing. It happens on its own. It just arises. There's no separate self you can grasp that chooses your thoughts. One way to explore our experience of thinking is to notice the gap that we experience between thoughts. So if you notice a series of thoughts going by, you can experience a thought where one thought ends and then there's kind of a blank space and then another thought comes up. So in that gap between thoughts, where is the separation between, say, stillness and movement? Where's the separation between thinking and not thinking? And where is the chooser of the next thought? So when you ask yourself, well, do I choose my thoughts? As we've been talking, I've been having a series of thoughts. We've been having a series of thoughts together. But when we ask ourselves, do we choose our thoughts? That question itself is just thought number 6 or 7 in the series of thoughts. But in that gap between thoughts, there is no actual chooser there choosing the next thought. If this is a little confusing, well, just, replay it and see it and then try it yourself. I mean, after the thought, in retrospect, the chooser thought comes in and says, I chose that thought, right? But it's sort of like the clown that takes the bow, he comes in retrospect, but it's not really there in the gap between thoughts. So the chooser thought is just an expression of the thought of choosing. It doesn't choose anything, right? Our thinking just arises spontaneously, like our breathing and our heartbeat, when we digest our food. There's no choosing, it just happens. So that is a pretty big insight for our thinking. If we really contemplate that, and we can remind ourselves when we start getting stuck in our thoughts, well, what is it that's really happening? Why am I giving so much power to this thinking? So, sometimes people will make the analogy of the ocean and its waves. Like ripples and big waves on the ocean are all equally wet, and they can't disturb the vastness of the peace of the ocean itself. So all thoughts and experiences are equally made of our essential being, are made of our awareness of being present. And they can't disturb our essence, our being, totally saturated with the pure substance of awareness. Pure substance is like, it's not something that we can hold on to. It's just something that we are. It's too close for us to hold on to or to get away from. Just like the ocean and the waves and the ripples can't get away from their wetness, right? So all waves are equally wet. All experiences, including our thoughts, are equally saturated, equally drenched with the substance of our awareness, even though that substance is not perceivable or describable. It's right here with us. It's what we actually are. So allowing ourselves to sink into that depth of just the feeling of being. Our thinking is a wonderful tool. It's a wonderful, communicative tool that we can use. And being aware that it's not something we have to worry about, like shadows or reflections in the mirror are just reflections. They don't have any real substance or power over us. They don't choose by themselves. They don't feel anything, as we mentioned before. And we share in this mystery. We have a powerful entry by into our shared being and into the intuition that enlightenment itself is a group project. When we explore our thinking, when we're willing to see what's really there, the letting go also happens on its own. The real letting go is realizing what is there to let go of? What do we have to let go of? Because thinking can't veil reality. It doesn't have the power to veil reality. It can't veil our true nature, just our awareness of being here and now. So when we accept that, then we understand that it's possible to just, want what we are and to be what we want, or to be what we want and to want what we are. And we can know that not through thinking, but through our willingness to just be, to allow that depth and that mystery and that not knowing mind. The not knowing mind is not the cosmic shrug. It's full of the aliveness of being, full of the singing and dancing of the voice of the Dharma, and more in-depth experience of our shared being together.